Hello everybody, I'm back with another build tutorial for you today. This time we're going to be constructing my desert house design. This blocky build is an ideal refuge from the harsh desert conditions. With a solid foundation and walls, it can weather any sandstorm or drought thrown at it. There's plenty of room inside to accommodate for all of your survival needs, and, as always, a list of materials can be found down in the description. So, without further ado, let's get started, shall we? Here we are in another super flat world, fresh and ready for us to start constructing the desert house. Now, as you can see here, I've already made a bit of a start on the outline. This outline's dimensions specifically are 16 on the front, 7 on this right side, 9 on this back side here, 4, followed by another 7, and finally this side of 11. The front of our house is going to be on this block here, and I've made a marker for where all of these cut sandstone pillars are going to be. To start, get your cut sandstone in hand and build up a pillar of 5 and a cut sandstone slab on top for all of the marked spots that should have pillars. The next thing we're going to want to do is fill in these walls. We're going to have a Deepslate to Tuff to Sandstone to Smooth Sandstone gradient. However, most of the wall will be Sandstone and Smooth Sandstone, and the Deepslate and Tuff will only make up the bottom 2 to 3 layers of the build, which is why I marked the bottom layer as Tuff here. Add a little bit of extra Tuff to the Tuff layer, and then add on top some sandstone and smooth sandstone to your build. Make sure to leave a 2-block gap for your doorway, and once you reach the 5th block, make sure that this layer is entirely made of smooth sandstone, and do not add any more layers past the cut sandstone slab. When you're creating your gradient, make sure that you only use Deepslate sparingly, and that in most cases it's surrounded by Tuff. I would personally recommend adding in the Deepslate as a finishing touch, however, as I feel like they are a good representation of shadows that you can incorporate in with the other exterior details of your build. We can now move on to the inside, where I've already started clearing out a little bit of space for us to add in the floor. Now for this you can use any kind of oak wood. It doesn't have to be planks, it can also be slabs. And when you're filling in this space, make sure you also place some oak underneath the foundations of your wall, After completing the floor, the next thing we're going to want to do is to add in a roof. Now, for this roof, we're going to take some smooth sandstone slabs and place them on the top half of the 4th layer of your wall. Okay, we've got our roof in, we've got our floor and our walls. The next thing we're going to want to do is punch a hole in one of the furthest corners of the back section and place some ladders going up to the second floor of our build. We're going to be adding an extra room on top of the already pre-established building. So we're going to want to take a cut sandstone and find the corner, and once you find this fourth corner, temporarily remove these 3 slabs, build up an extra 4 blocks on each of these 4 corners, and then re-add the sandstone slab once you reach the top. For this, we're going to be using our smooth sandstone and sandstone. As you build up to fill in these walls, you're going to want to leave a 3x3 square. We are going to fill this space with a combination of upside down smooth sandstone stairs on the top 2 corners and a spruce door surrounded by trapdoors. I got it. I got it. Yay. And repeat this for the other 3x3 gap. You can add in your smooth sandstone slabs on the top of the 4th layer, of course with leaving the top layer as only smooth sandstone. We are now going to work on exterior details. You can place in a doorway at the front. There is also the opportunity to place a doorway on this side of the build if you want to have a different entry point. At the moment, there's only one entryway to get onto the roof of this building. If you would like to change that, then we can add in an extra staircase on the back side of the build. We're going to start by removing these 2 smooth sandstone blocks here and placing a 4x4 square. From this 4x4 square, you can make a descending set of stairs until they reach the floor. And to fill in this space beneath the stairs, we can continue making use of our sandstone and smooth sandstone gradients to continue the wall pattern that we have established for this build. Let's talk about windows. I'd recommend looking at the second layer of the build and finding adequate spots to place in windows as you see fit. Placing in oak fence gates to replace the previous blocks, and then adding some smooth sandstone stairs on top to add in some extra depth. And for the second window design, we're going to use the second layer extension. From the floor, you want to go up 2 blocks, break whichever block you want to make the window, place in a oak fence gate where you can open the fence gate and the trapdoor, and of course close them. So feel free to go around your build adding in windows where you deem appropriate. On the penultimate layer of each of your modules, you could place in a few oak buttons to give the impression of wooden poles going through the supports of the build. The next addition to the exterior of your build that you can make is storage piles. Now, these piles can include spruce planks, chests, and barrels. However, be careful when making these to not inadvertently create a chest monster. You can also add in hanging lanterns on the side of your build, like so. If you want to add a little bit of extra shade on the outside of your build to help protect you from the harsh desert sun, then you can add in this porch design made up of fence posts, campfires, and carpets for a comfy floor. You don't have to do this on just one entrance though, you can also apply it to other sides of the build. And of course, if you haven't added in your Deepslate yet, now would be an opportune time as you have a better idea of where the shadows are on your build. And the final decoration I have designed for this build is plant pots. Now, these plant pots come in many variations, so I'll run you through each of them separately. You're going to want to take a oak fence or a decorated pot. On top of this pot, you can place some oak or azalea leaves to add an extra bit of shrubbery. However, to achieve the overgrown effect that I showcased at the beginning of the video, you're going to want to take one of your decorated pots and use a mixture of moss carpets, moss blocks, oak leaves, azalea leaves, and mangrove leaves. Each of these blocks have their own pros and cons when using to create an overgrown plant. For example, azalea leaves are always green no matter what biome you're in. However, mangrove leaves turn a dull brown colour whenever you place them in a warm biome. Spreading the overgrown plant onto the top of one of your porches could add some extra visual interest. Another way of creating an overgrown vibe is by running your leaves down the side of the build and maybe have them branch out like I'm doing here. Maybe these plants run into another potted plant and they overgrow out the front of the build even more. And make sure to evenly spread them out by including them on multiple different sides of your build. That is all of the exterior decorations for this desert house. It's now time for us to head inside to work on the interior of this build. So, taking your sandstone in hand, you can add in a full block on the ceiling and place a lantern on it to create a ceiling light. Additionally, in different parts of the room, you could place spruce stairs and place a lantern on top of it to create a desktop lamp. Or you could even grab yourself a small shelf and stick a lantern on top of that. Moving on from that, however, we're going to take some trapdoors, place 3 up against this little shelf that we've created here, and on the 3rd block away from the door, place 2 more trapdoors on top of each other, and then on the opposite side, on this adjacent block, we're going to place 2 more trapdoors to create a room divider for us to move on to creating a bedroom. Now, of course, we can use beds and maybe even some survival utilities to furnish this room. And additionally, we could break down this part of the wall here, replace a few blocks, and then use this open space that we've created as a cupboard by placing 2 doors on the outside block and then using spruce slabs to create a shelf inside the cupboard and an armor stand for you to store your armor on. And finally, we can close off this shelf by placing in 2 spruce slabs. If you wanted to have something a little bit more grand for your bedroom, you could head upstairs and create your own master bedroom in the top floor. Of course, we would still add in the storage and armor stands inside of the room to give it a bit of survival utility. And when you place in your bed, preferably against a sandstone wall, you can add in some extra decorations such as a desk to the side, some spruce trapdoor edges. Moving back downstairs, we can head into this last open space we have to work with and I have designed this as a kitchen. Place down your first chair and use it to place the table made of upside down stairs, a spruce slab, and then another upside down spruce stair to create this table design. And then you can add in additional seats to account for more residents of your house as you see fit. You can add in some furnaces topped with some rails to mimic a oven design, and additionally, to add an extra barrier between the kitchen and the bedroom, you could extend the pillar found 2 blocks into the room and add a little bit extra to the walls here as well. So once you've placed in all of your decorations and survival utilities, the desert house will be finally complete. If you do end up building this house design in one of your worlds, I would love to see what you guys end up building. And if you have any constructive criticism or queries on how to build this structure, then leave your feedback down in the comments below and I'll take it into account when making any future tutorials. But that's all I've got time for today. So, until the next one, I'm Villager64, and I hope you all have a good day!